Today the Lord will conquer you, and I will kill you and cut off your head. And then I will give the dead bodies of your men to the birds and wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. And everyone assembled here will know that the Lord rescues his people, but not with the sword or spear. This is the Lord's battle, and he will give you to us. This is the Lord's battle. Perception, perspective, and reality. I have thought about this for some time, that my kids have not thought of me as to being the best dad that I can be, or the dad that they want me to be, and truthfully in a good way, right? And meaning, when I say that, or in a bad way for for how they see it, but in a good way, overall, right? Like I have felt as if I have been slowly but surely failing my kids, and the reason for this is because you know I have to be their father. I can't be their friend. And I said this before, that I don't think parents should. I think too many parents are so focused, hyperfixated on being their kids' friends and not their parents. But I don't get me wrong. It can make me envious at times of the relationship in which I see other parents that they seem to have with their kids. And so it wasn't until my daughter, my oldest, told me, she said, "Dad, you're the best dad. And I love you." And I was like, "Oh, well, thank you, sweetie." And I gave her a hug, but then she's like, "No, come here. I need to give you a kiss." And so she gave me a kiss on the cheek. And it's been her thing now, where she will give me a kiss on the cheek, and she'll let me know that she loves me. And, it's a mental, I do these mental gymnastics in my head of like, so no, I'm doing a good job because she loves me, and she's happy, and she gives me a kiss on the cheek and tells me she loves me. But at the same time, I'm like, well, she doesn't have an understand, so maybe I'm not doing a good job. Um, but I do believe, after when that happened, that, I have been putting a lot of pressure on myself to be something that I am not, I won't say capable of, but the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, right? We all wanted to be, that fatherly figure in those movie or those TV shows, like Uncle Phil, and where we were admired by our kids, even though, um, we had to be stern with them, or we had to punish them, or whatever the case might be. And so, we want to be these perfect dads, and we see that we're like, okay, if I could just be like that, then my parenting, my kids will see me that way, and then perfect, right? Well, that's not the case. I think this is why it's a beautiful topic, and what we're going to be talking about again, which is the you know perception, uh perspective, reality. So I'm going to go to a story that you have all heard before, and all know, I'm sure, in great detail. But I'm gonna tell you the story again, because I think it's a phenomenal story, to read in the Bible. And this is going to be from 1 Samuel 17, verse 32, to 51. Now, I'm not going to read all of it, but that's what we're going to cover in this portion here of the Bible. Talks about David killing Goliath. Um And I think it's important. I think this is a heck of a story, right? Because I have read it before, but again, the Lord works in mysterious ways. He does amazing things, in our lives. And as I was rereading this, I was going through my yearly and the Bible in 365. As I was going through it, and I was at this portion, I was reading the lead up, the build up to get him become David becoming killing Goliath. How Samuel is as identified. How Samuel points says, no, he is. This is where God says, hey, to Samuel, go to this is where you're going to go. And he meets Jesse, and Jesse has his sons, and then David is the last small scrawny one, and that's when he anoints him with oil, and essentially says he'll become king. But then even the story of Samuel, it's so the Bible, man. Like, this is what I'm telling y'all when I read it. The Bible is it's the word of God is such an amazing word, because it's crazy, the connections and all these things. And I used to think the Bible was boring, y'all. But I'm telling you, I read the Bible now, and I'm excited, because I'm like, okay, I got to know what happens next, even though I know what happens next. I've read it before, but I was like, I got to know. It's something, because every time I read it, something different pops up into my head, and something new, something, not a new way of looking at it, but just a different understanding that I never had before. And this is why the Lord is so amazing. Anyway, so we are going. Let me start this, right. Let me start this out and get y'all here. And I got my Bible here in front of me. So it says, it starts here 32. Don't worry about the Philistine. David told Saul, I'll go fight him. Don't be ridiculous, Saul replied. There's no way you can fight this Philistine and possibly win. You're only a boy, and he's been a man of war since his youth. But David persisted. I have been taking care of my father's sheep and goats, he said. When a lion or bear comes to steal a lamb from the flock, I go after it with a club and rescue the lamb from its mouth. If the animal turns on me, I catch it by the jaw and club it to death. I have done this to both lions and bears, and I'll do it to this pagan Philistine too, for he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the claws of the lion and the bear will rescue me from this Philistine. Now, pause right there. Okay. I want y'all to take a moment right here, and let's look at the perception aspect of this. Saul's perception of David at this point is, you are just a boy, a sheep herder for that much. And so what is it that you can do that these men that he has been fighting battles and wars with, right? What is it that David can do, this boy, that they can't do? He's a boy. He is he works his father's fields. Sheep. He manages his father's sheep. So what is it that how could David do something when Saul's men can't even, or are afraid to defeat this giant Philistine? And it's such an amazing thing to me when you sit there and you read this and you hear, he says, there's no way you can fight this Philistine and possibly win. You are only a boy, and he's been a man of war since his youth. Now, perspective, right? Let's put this in perspective. David, who's a boy at this point, has the confidence of Saul's top generals of when we're fighting, right? At this point in time. That's confidence. And not just like, understand when I say this, like, I believe that's David's confidence, but primarily that's the strength and the confidence from the Lord. That's the faith that he has in the Lord to say, no, this is who my God is. You may have forgotten who the God is who we serve. And I'm not saying that's what David said to him, but again, David knows who the God is that he serves. So David is able to sit there and tell him, I have fought lions and bears, and the Lord has delivered me every single time. I can go defeat this pagan Philistine, this human being, if I can fight a lion and bears to protect my father's sheep, I can fight this Philistine to protect Israel and to protect God's image. Not that it needed our protection, but the Philistine, the Goliath here, he calls out God several times. He's saying defamatory things about God, about God's people. And David is here, has heard some of these things, and because he was sent out to the battlefield to give his brothers some food and bring a report back to his dad. So I think again the perception is, who is this kid think he is? That he's gonna go fight this. He's gonna go fight this giant. Like we haven't talked to already. These are some of our strongest men and said, "Hey, can you beat him?" you know, and it's funny because a lot of what was promised, right, which was whoever defeated the Philistine, what brought him his head, Goliath's head, would be able to marry Saul's daughter. What will a man get for killing the Philistine and ending his defiance of Israel? Who is this pagan Philistine anyway that he's allowed to defy the armies of the living God? And these men gave David the same reply: exempted from paying taxes. So like, and it's crazy when you're reading First Samuel, and David doesn't even care about all those things. He's just like, this man is out here defiling who our God is, the God of heaven's armies. He's out here trying to tell you that our God isn't as powerful as he is. He is more powerful than our God. Man, gosh, I love the story so much. It gets me so amped up when I read it too. But anyway, so we start reading this, right? We go more into depth here, but it says Saul finally consented and said, "All right, go ahead," he said, "and may the Lord be with you." And so we'll go further down, right? Which I think is first, it's crazy, right? Now imagine me in Saul being one of Saul's, closest Saul, the king at this point, and in his inner circle, and you hear this conversation between him and David, and all you're thinking is, he is going to go let this boy fight Goliath. And like, if we I don't understand. Like, I want to be honest with you guys, right? My thought process reading and understanding this is, okay, if they go fight Goliath, and whoever goes out there and fights Goliath and loses, what are the repercussions, right? There gotta be some repercussions. The Philistines are not just gonna be like, all right, we won, cool, um, even though there was a deal on the table, if you will, right? Like, if the Philistines have won, then the Israelites will become the Philistine slaves, and whatever the case might be. But like understand, like, there's a lot on the line here. And so I was like, yeah, you can go get him. You said you're gonna fight him, go fight him. That was that's craziness. So again, imagine being in Saul's inner court and you hear this and you're like, okay, uh he's gonna let the boy go fight the giant. Okay, all right, well, interesting thought process there, Saul. But no one questions the king, and again, the reality is, because keep in mind, guys, we know the ending of the story. We know how the story ends. But in that time, obviously, did they know how the story ended? No, they didn't. Now, David did. But the Israelites and the Philistines there at this time, do you think they knew how the story? No, they didn't. Right? And so the reality is God was like, hey, no. I've already prepared the way for David. This giant is necessary for David, because by killing this giant Goliath, David will establish himself and be deemed worthy, because he was already deemed worthy by God, but now deemed worthy by the people to be their king. So it's amazing because God is always working, right? And we forget that God is always working. And so God has always been, or had already been working, because earlier in the chapter, it was 16. And this is the point where Samuel it anoints David as king. I'm sorry. Well, 15. And 10, this is where it starts and talks about how the Lord rejects Saul because of what Saul, in the end, Saul was disobedient to the Lord, and Samuel had to go tell him and whatnot. But then in 16, it goes on to talk about how the Lord tells him to go where to go, and he is to go find this young boy, this family, and he's going to point out to him who is to be the next king of Israel. And so again, the Lord has already been working in the background. David, I put in front of you lions and bears. And you leaned on me and said, nope. Through my Lord's strength, I can take the jaws of these beasts and beat them to death, because I know the God that supports me, that has my back. So, gosh, it's so amazing to me, right? Like the Goliath in front of you, the giant in front of you, and the giant in your life right now. Think about it. I want y'all to think about what that giant is. And I want you to think about all the miniature giants that you thought were giants at the time. It could be even the thing you're going through right now, but the giants at the time, and say, hold on, he won that, he won that, he won that. So why wouldn't he win this battle for me? It's crazy to think about, guys, right? Because the reality is God has a plan, and the reality is God has already won. Just like he already had delivered Goliath to David. And this is the amazing thing of what God does. He'll sit there and he'll be like, okay, I want to prove my point to you. Right? I want to make it clear about who I am, aka who God is. Right? So then let me read this part to you. Then Saul gave David his own armor, a bronze helmet and a coat of mail. David put it on, strapped the sword over it, and took a step or two to see what it was like, for he had never worn such things before. I can't go in these, he protested to Saul. I'm not used to them. So David took them off again. He picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream and put them into a shepherd's bag. Then armed only with his shepherd's staff and sling, he started across the valley to fight the Philistine. So now, listen to what I'm about to tell you. Human intervention said, hey, this is what you need to win the battle that's in front of you. Man, this is what I said. Saul said, hey, you need all of these things to win the battle. And it's amazing because take a look at this, right? David has already made it clear. The Lord who rescued me from the claws of lion and the bear will rescue me from this Philistine. David has already made it very clear who is going to rescue him. And Saul still says, okay, but here's my armor. Like, just in case, like, here's my armor and here's my sword, so you can go fight him. Guys, he's a shepherd boy. Do you honestly, at this point, if does Saul honestly think he had some secret sword training going on, or training going on while he was back home attending the herd? And then he was like, actually, I'm essentially like Troy, I'm out here to do some amazing sword skills and just out here to win the battle for you. Right? He only experience that he had and he brought to the table was, hey, I fought lions and I fought bears. And gosh, man, God is so good too. God is so good. And so he said, "Hey, I can't go in these. I know. Listen, I'm gonna go get what I need, and I know what I need because the Lord has already provided me with what I needed. So he's gonna go. He goes to the stream. He picks up these 5 smooth stones. He picks up these stones, and he's shepherd's bag and puts them in his bag, and he got his sling and his staff, and he starts walking towards his Philistine. Now again, David's brothers. What do you think their perspective is when they hear that their brother is going to go fight the Philistine? What do you all think? But like honestly, what do you think? The Bible doesn't outline it, right? Like, and I know that's not, and it's not necessarily a huge important part of the purpose of behind um the story here, right? But I truthfully I want to know. I'm kind of interested when I think about this a little bit further. Is what was David's brothers thinking in this moment when they see their brother, their youngest brother, walking up to go fight Goliath? Also, amazing thing. Let's go back when Samuel has let's see, it goes here. So Samuel he's meeting with Jesse, and he's going through all of his sons at this point. He said find a man named Jesse, and where is it? Where is that? This is the one. There is the still youngest. Okay. Then he said, "The Lord had the Lord has not chosen any of these." Then Samuel asked, "Are there are these all the sons you have?" "There is still the youngest," Jesse replied, "but he is in the fields watching the sheep and goats." "Send him at once. Send for him at once," Samuel said. "We will not sit down and eat until he arrives." So Jesse sent for him. He was dark and handsome with beautiful eyes. And the Lord said, "This is the one, anoint him." So David took one of these. So David stood there among his brothers. Samuel took the flask of olive oil he had brought and anointed David with the oil. And the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David from that day on. Samuel comes along and he says, "Hey, bring me your sons, and I'm going to I need to one of them. I'm going to anoint one of them." Right. Um, and like this is the great. So David stood there among his brothers. Do you think they forgot? I don't think they forgot, because then we go forward, and now his brothers are dismissing him as he's walking through the camp, asking questions, and they're getting upset with him. He goes, but when David's oldest brother, Eliab, heard David talking to the men, he was angry. "What are you doing around here anyway?" he demanded. "What about those few sheep you're supposed to be taking care of? I know about your pride and deceit. You just want to see the battle." "What have I done now?" David replied. "I was only asking a question." He walked over to some of the other men and asked the same thing and received the same answers. Then David's questions were reported to King Saul, and King sent for him. Do you think his brothers honestly forgot? No, his brothers didn't forget. So now David is walking out into this battlefield to fight Goliath, not with armor, not with a sword, but with his staff, his slingshot, but in the greatest one of all, the Lord. And he's going out here to fight this battle, knowing it has already been determined who was going to win. Gosh, man, God, let me tell y'all, man, I love the Lord. I love his presence is such amazing. Thank you, God. Um Gosh, man. So I want to read this to y'all. So Goliath walked out toward David with his shield bearer ahead of him, sneering in contempt at this ruddy faced boy. Am I a dog? He roared at David. That you come at me with a stick? And he cursed David by the names of his gods. Come over here, and I will give your flesh to the birds and wild animals. Goliath yelled. David replied to the Philistine, you come to me with sword, spear, and javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of the heavens armies, the God of the armies of Israel, who you have defied. Today the Lord will conquer you, and I will kill you and cut off your head, and then I will give the dead bodies of your men to the birds and wild animals, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel, and everyone assembled here will know that the Lord rescued his people, but not with a sword or spear. This is the Lord's battle, and he will give it to us. He will give you to us. He had already knew that the Lord had given him the battle and that they were going to win. Now, you sit here in your life and you sit there and you're upset with the giant that's in front of you. And you say, Lord, take away this. Lord, please help me. Take away, take away, take away. I can't handle this. Lord, Lord, Lord. But God didn't take away the giant. He didn't take away the giant. I mean, he did. He had David cut off his head. We'll get to that. But he didn't remove the giant, the obstacle from his life. And this is the thing. David knew. He presented his resume, if you will. I've heard it said that way before, and I liked when it was said that way. He presented his resume to Saul, and he said, "Hey, I have killed the lions. I've killed a lion, and I've killed a bear who's tried to attack my flock, my father's flock, and I protected them. And if they attack me, I ripped open their jaws and I beat them with a club. Like you have these things in your life, these obstacles in your life that you feel like you cannot handle." And you forgot the God that you serve, just like the rest of the Israelites forgot the God that they serve. You know, I told you in the beginning, right? My daughter, I have felt inadequate. I have felt not good enough. Uh, and this is an obstacle for me because there's other things going on in my life that she doesn't know about because she's too young, and I would never put her in a position where she needs to know about these things. Um, but it impacts me because these things are also are weighing on me as uh, making me feel insufficient as a father to my kids and to my wife as well. And to be reminded by my daughter, she says, "Dad, I love you. You're doing a good job." That to me is confirmation from the Lord of answering my prayers. Lord, am I doing good enough? And he puts it in my daughter's heart. And my daughter comes to me and says, "Dad, I love you. You're the best dad." That's all the confirmation I need. And so uh, I forgot for a minute. I forgot about the Lord that I serve. I forgot how powerful he was. I forgot what he was capable of. And this is why, guys, personally, this is why it's so important for me that I seek him daily, that I pick up my cross daily, and seek ye the first the kingdom of God and all of its righteousness, because this serves as a constant reminder, because Paul talks about how we are in a battle between our flesh and the Holy Spirit. It's 5 verse 17. The sinful nature wants to do evil, which is just the opposite of what the spirit wants. And the spirit gives us desires that are the opposite of what the sinful nature desires. These two forces are constantly fighting each other. So you are not free to carry out your own good intentions. Listen, guys, our flesh is constantly warring. We are constantly warring with it. The spirit within us is constantly warring with. Y'all forget this is a spiritual battle. Y'all forget this is a spiritual battle. And so this spiritual battle inside, it's the attack on our minds, our hearts. And David reminds everyone, trust and believe everyone's watching at this, especially as he's walking out there. Trust and believe. David reminds everyone the God that he and the people of Israel serve. I'm going to finish this, y'all. And this is verse 48 and chapter 17. As Goliath moved closer to attack, David quickly ran out to meet him. Reaching into his shepherd's bag and taking out a stone, he hurled it into his sling and hit the Philistine in the forehead. The stone sank in, and Goliath stumbled and fell face down on the ground. So David triumphed over the Philistine with only a sling and a stone, for he had no sword. Then David ran over and pulled Goliath's sword from his sheath. David used it to kill him and cut off his head. Listen, guys. You have heard the story of David and Goliath before. You have. All of you have. I know you have. It's one of the most famous, impactful stories in the Bible, and that pastors and preachers have used, and people have used to use as an example or whatever, to help paint a picture for you guys to understand. And I was hesitant to use it before. I was hesitant to use it, but at this point, honestly, it was in my heart, and I was like, I'm just gonna use it and put it out there. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is it's amazing to me what the Lord what the Lord does. Whether it was in the Old Testament times and now, especially in this life, in this millennium, in this lifetime, right? In our lifetime, where we forget who the God is that we serve. Just like the other Israelites forgot. Saul forgot the God that they serve. And that is the same God that we serve. He's the same God today, or yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He hasn't changed. We did. We got new distractions, got new toys, got all these new things in our life. We got new things to distract us with. But God hasn't changed. He's the same God. And so my daughter, she opened my eyes. And this is when reality set in for me. Where reality was, I was looking at the small things that was going on around me, right? I was looking at, hold on, let me pull this. I'm going to show you. Let me, 2 Corinthians 14, 16 through 18. I was looking at, I was looking at things from my eyes, from my lens, from my viewpoint. David had God in his heart since he was anointed by Samuel. All right, that's what how the Bible outlines. And I read that to y'all. All right, he received the Spirit, and he was with him. And so David knew where his strength came from. And we have to know where our strength comes from. I want y'all to, I think this is a perfect example. And there's several other examples where it was clear that this is how David was thinking, right? But it says here, 2 Corinthians 4, 16 through 18, it says, that is why we never give up. Though our bodies are dying, our spirits are being renewed every day. For our present troubles are small, and won't last very long. Yet they produce for us a glory that vastly outweighs them and will last forever. So we don't look at the troubles we can see now. Rather, we fix our gaze on things that cannot be seen. For the things we see now will soon be gone, but the things we cannot see will last forever. And this, of course, he's talking about the kingdom of God, and he's talking about what the second the when Jesus is to come back at this point, and about how what it is that we need to set our eyes upon, right? We need to put our focus on God. You know, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. I know it's overshadowed. It tends to be overshadowed by the other I don't have shame to say this, by the LGBTQ awareness month or whatever, even though they have whatever several other days and things or whatever. It tends to be overshadowed by it. Now, I'm not saying all this because I want to put I wanted to demean people, if you will. That's not my intent here. What I want to point out here is it's Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and there's a lot of these statistics about men's suicides and suicidal ideations, and men are they commit the most suicides. So, and it's a lot of times due to mental health and the feeling of inadequacy or not having someone to go talk to. So I felt like talking about this today, excuse me, I felt like talking about this and having um, this moment, where I brought up when I'm talking about Goliath, is essential because honestly, y'all, you have giants in front of you, and and some of you are sitting there thinking, I can't get through this giant. You're right, you can't, but the Lord can. The Lord can deliver you through them. And I don't want it to sound like me telling you that means he's going to deliver you in the way that you want him to deliver you in, right? Because it's like I said in the beginning, right? You know, perception, perspective, reality. We have this perception of what our problems are, what our problems look like in our life, and how much they bear down on top of us. We have a perspective that says, I have been in a situation similar. I know someone who has been in a situation similar. This is how to handle it. This is how I'm going to handle it. Our perspective tells us, from this point of view, from this vantage point, yeah, this is going to be the best way to move forward, to protect me, right, and to make sure I can take care of my family. Reality is, we have to see God. Right now I am in right now right now I am I got a phone call earlier, about a potential, not a potential, about a job interview. And I know what y'all are gonna say. You're in the Army still. Yeah, I am. But you know on the way out here soon. And it threw me off guard because I did not expect, because it was a San Antonio number and I'm living in San Antonio, so I answered it. I usually don't answer unknown numbers, but I answered it, and then talked to this individual, and they said, "Yep, hey, how about Monday the 9th? We'd love to come talk to you or have you come in and talk to, do an interview." And it like it overwhelmed me because I'm thinking to myself, like, well, I haven't really I haven't applied to jobs. I didn't apply. Like, I haven't applied. They just called me and said, hey, we want, love to speak to you. And so, it's amazing because it frightened me because it became real. Right. And now I have this giant in front of me again that I thought that I, that I thought I gotten away, that I thought I had, that had been destroyed, but it's back again. Right. And honestly, the first thing I thought, this is for one of the first few moments in my life where I thought this, I said, I need to go pray, because I need the Lord. I need the Lord's presence. I need to know and feel and understand that he's going to take care of it. Whatever this looks like, whatever it's supposed to be, and whatever I'm supposed to go, where I'm supposed to do, he's going to take care of it. Because, I get nervous. I got nervous thinking about, like, oh my gosh, like, what does this mean? And so that is one of those things that was bearing the burdens on my shoulder right now, that puts me at ease, and feeling the feeling of, like, oh my gosh, am I doing what I'm supposed to for my kids? But I know the God I serve. And listen, guys, a lot of you will, I don't know a lot of you, but a lot of people will say, this God thing guy, he's made up. These are just stories. These are just fake. They're not real. But like I said, God does this thing where he's like, there's no way it wouldn't be real. Why would we tell the story? Why would men write that in the book of the Bible, right? When they're building, at this point, they're collecting their scrolls or manuscripts, and why would they write that? Right? Because when you're a man, when you're reading this, or when they're reading and they're going through these, right? Think about it. Would it make any man feel more manly to say, yeah, I'm going to go fight this giant with a slingshot and a stone? No, it would, like, because if it was man, it would have been like, oh no, Saul's armor fit perfectly and his sword was amazing, like King Arthur, and he slayed the giant, or slayed the dragon, right? And and it was just an awesome story, and everybody loved him and threw up on the shoulders, like, right? But like, God said, no, 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 no. I want you to know that I was here. I want you to know that I delivered my people. I need you, not only them here, not only the Philistines, not only the Israelites here at this moment, but I need you in the future, when you read these words, to know that it was God who did this. Gosh, where'd it go? Hold on. And it said, today the Lord will conquer you, and I will kill you and cut off your head. And then I will give the dead bodies of your men to the birds and wild animals. And the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. And everyone assembled here will know that the Lord rescues his people, but not with the sword or spear. This is the Lord's battle, and he will give you to us. This is the Lord's battle. That's all, guys. That's it. Legitimately, that's it. Give it to the God. Give it to God. It's amazing what happens when you give it to God. This, I think, is a good segue to talk about, if you guys, for men who don't feel like they have a purpose in their life, and this is usually what happens, is when men feel purposeless and they're not sure, like, hey, how does this, what to do, and they're lacking of it, or they're like, oh my goodness, like, am I where I'm supposed to be? Am I doing the right thing? And it was discover your true purpose as a father. And I think it will give you guys encouragement. Just like this video, I think it'll give you encouragement. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to the channel, so we can continue to grow. Go ahead, check out mediocredads.net. Go get you some merchandise. We have some new merchandise, guys. I'm terrible at posting it. I'm sorry, but we have new merchandise. Go check that out on the website. Support us, please. It means a lot. Again, any way you go and support us, supporting us even looks like, it doesn't have to be monetary. It just means subscribing to the channel. But listen, y'all, that is all I got. God is good all the time, man. God is good, guys. And I will catch y'all next time. And remember that being mediocre is a choice, and you have to refuse to be mediocre every single day. That is all I got. Mediocre Dads out.